Today, the House Financial Services Subcommittee on Oversight, folks, and Investigations, they held a hearing called An Enduring Legacy, the Role of Financial Institutions in the Horrors of Slavery and the Need for Atonement, to examine the role of financial institutions in the practice of slavery in the United States. Reverend Mark Thompson, the Senior Advisor at the Institute for Politics, Policy, and History, and host of Make It Plain, joined us from Martinsburg, West Virginia. So, Mark, first of all, y'all got video of the hearing? We ain't got no video to hearing. So how we talking about what took place in the hearing?
Well, in fairness, Roland, to you,
Bart, go ahead.
Well, no. In fairness to your team, the hearing had started. It lasted for about 20 minutes, and then they had a 3-hour recess. And so it wasn't much of a hearing, and it didn't last very long. And thank you for having me. But a few things.
But you did say they had 20 minutes, right?
Yeah, but it was all opening statements. So
yeah, all right.
Don't be too hard on you.
I know you're trying to bail them out, but it ain't working. It ain't working. Y'all should have had y'all could have had at least 60 seconds from a 20-minute hearing. But go right ahead, Mark. So tell us what happened in the hearing, since we ain't got no video.
Well, there was conversation. There was a citing of some news I think many of us have already heard, that there are a number of banking and financial institutions made their first fortunes off of slavery. We were assets. We were collateral as enslaved people, and something still needs to be done about that. But it didn't quite get to what that could be. H.R. 40 did come up because H.R. 40 would establish a commission to determine what types of forms reparations would take. Unfortunately, we're at 215 yes votes, and House leadership is afraid to bring H.R. 40 to the floor, Brother Roland, in a midterm election year. And so House leadership has gone down to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue and asked the Biden White House to issue H.R. 40 as an executive order. I don't know if that's going to happen either. But you only need 218 votes to pass something in the House. And we think those votes exist. If it were to pass the House, whether or not it passes the Senate, that would still give, I would think, Biden the political cover necessary to actually do an executive order. He can do an executive order by commission. Can't do George Floyd Policing Act. You can't do voting rights by executive order. But you can do a commission to study and determine what forms reparations would take. And these banks, these financial institutions, have to also be a part of that, because many of them, J.P. Morgan got started off of the slave trade. Wall Street, the first commodities on Wall Street were our ancestors. That's why it's called Wall Street. Our ancestors built a wall so as not to offend the sensibility of Lower Manhattan's white and Dutch residents when the auctions were taking place. That's why it's called Wall Street. So we were practically currency. And so something ought to be done. Unfortunately.
First, Mark, though, I mean, and which is the purpose of the hearing, it lays out, because this is the problem, again, why all these white Republicans are so pissed off with the 1619 Project. What they don't like, and it's not just 1619 Project. I mean, we've had folks writing, Lerone Bennett, the late Lerone Bennett, and Simeon Booker and others in Ebony and other magazines. They've been writing about this stuff for years.
Right.
The problem you're dealing with is white America has never bothered to learn this history. And so when we're talking about, even when you talk, again, when the story came out, talking about how Georgetown University would have been DOA, dead, not exist today, had they not sold slaves and took that money to keep the school open. People need to understand how these companies became the companies that they are. They were built on the institution of slavery. Capitalism just simply did not just exist. Slavery created what is now known as the capitalistic society. America, we're always taught in school, the Industrial Revolution. America could not do a damn thing in the Industrial Revolution unless it had the resources that came from slavery.
That's right. That's right. You're absolutely right. And this is why, of course, there are those who don't want the 1619 project to exist, don't want this history told. Frankly, there are those who don't want reparations. Someone made the argument today that what is owed by these financial institutions is too much money to be paid out to us. So and it was also used to put forward the argument, we know what just happened in California, the position that only those who can prove their direct lineage to an enslaved ancestor should be entitled to some type of reparations payments. That decreases the window and opportunity for many of us, because most of us don't have that. Most of us can't prove that. And something Dr. Ron Walters used to say to those who want to, on our side, who want to make the case for how much money it should or shouldn't be, he used to say this, Roland, when a plaintiff files a civil suit, the plaintiff doesn't negotiate against her or himself. You put it out there, and you put out there what it is you are owed. You don't act on behalf of the defendant and say, well, we know you can't afford that anyway, so we're going to minimize the amount of the payment that can be made. We know that there are probably trillions of dollars owed us on the part of these financial institutions. We should not give up or relinquish any effort to get as much of, if not all of that money. And whether it comes in the form of direct payments to those of us who are descendants of enslaved people, or whether it comes in the form of investment in our institutions today, long-term investments, or both, we should not be cutting off any of that or letting any of them off the hook.
Well, bottom line is this here. When you talk about the information, it's the knowledge. That's what matters. That's what's critically matters. And so hopefully, so you said they recessed. Did they ever come back to the committee?
No, I think it's done. And I don't know what happened. There must have been some other business on the Hill and they didn't get through it. So I have to find out whether they're going to do follow-up. But Congresswoman Waters and Congressman Al Green led the hearing. It was a joint committee hearing, and they did bring up H.R. 40. And hopefully we can move that, because at the end of the day, that commission would take all of this and study it and have hearings in our communities to get input from us, the community, us as African Americans, as to what can be done, what should be done. So that's really where we ought to go. And frankly, I don't think we should give up on pressing the House. This would be an historic vote, no matter what happens in the Senate, to pass the first and only reparations bill in the history of this country would be significant to pass. And I think it would really force the Democratic president's hand to go ahead and appoint this commission and get it up and running and stand it up while he's still in office. The commission really had in the legislation is actually only supposed to exist for about 2 years anyway.
Got it. All right. Mark, I appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, brother.
All right, folks.
I want my top back too.
No, you can't.
They'll let you borrow.
You ain't get this one, Doc. You can't get this one. Sorry.
No, it's mine. I'll let you borrow it.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
So
I don't know what.
FedEx me that back after the show.
I don't know what world you talking about. So
hey, Roland, you got a minute for me to tell you why I'm in West Virginia, real quick?
Yeah, the Poor People's Campaign.
Yeah, and folks, let me just say this real quick. Folks focusing on Ukraine. Let me tell you what I found out today. There's an industrial plant here that is billowing smoke within the proximity of 5 schools in Martinsburg in this area, and we're marching there tomorrow. Rockwell is what it is. And they are one of the only companies, people focus on the Ukraine, Roland, they're one of the only companies that still does business with Russia when everybody else is obeying the sanctions and has stopped business with Russia. Joe Manchin is complicit in that. So once again, you've got a U.S. senator working with a company in his own home state that is still doing business with Vladimir Putin. So we got to deal with all that. And I just want people to be aware of that and the environmental dangers that are taking place here, and what Joe Manchin is doing once again, not to do what's right by his constituents or our people.
Okay. All right, Mark. I appreciate it.
All right,
Thanks so much.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Hold no punches.
I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Stay black. I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?